A 7-day water fast has tremendous health benefits, and some experts actually believe that if you do multiple 7-day water fasts throughout the year, you can prevent major diseases like cancer, and that's pretty cool. So in this video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide as to how to prepare for a 7-day water fast, which is wildly important, and then we'll talk about some of the benefits associated with this 7-day water fast, how to actually perform the fast, and then the refeeding stage. What do you eat after you do the fast, which is going to be just as important as the fast itself. So let's go ahead and dive in, but before we do, I'm Dr. Nick Zyrowski, and if you love natural health, you're going to want to join my natural health community. It's called Health Club. In Health Club, I give you all the different clinical tips that I utilize every day in order to help people get well. So if you want to stay on the razor's edge of natural health, go ahead and click on the link below and join me in Health Club. I look forward to seeing you there. So let's go ahead and now dive into the preparation part of the 7-day water fast. I really think this is so important because if you just go into the fast without preparing for it, you're not going to have a very fun time. Imagine just eating whatever you want and then you go into the fasted state. Oh my goodness. Your brain doesn't feel good. You have headaches. Fatigue is just off the charts. You don't want to do that. So you want to make sure that you are approaching a fast appropriately, especially a 7-day water fast. So the first thing you do is start reducing your carb intake, okay? So you want to eat very few carbs, and you also want to make sure that you're eating good, healthy carbs. Your carbohydrates coming from vegetables or fruit, but not coming from white bread and pasta in the, traditional foods that so many people eat today. You also want to go sugar-free, okay? This is important because what you're trying to do is you're setting your body up to gradually ease in the fast. You want to start putting your body into the state of ketosis, or as close as you can to the state of ketosis before fasting. This way, when you get to the fast, you're not dealing with sugar cravings and carb cravings and headaches and a whole bunch of negative symptoms. So you're helping transition by reducing carbs and going sugar-free. Step one. Now, the next thing you want to do is eat a lot of good, whole, nutrient-dense foods leading up to the fast because you really want to prepare your body by just, nourishing it with all the vitamins and minerals that you can. You also want to really prioritize healthy fats and proteins during this time along with fiber, okay? So focus on the whole foods because as we are doing this fast, our whole goal is to heal our body, right? I mean, we're not doing fast for the kicks of it. It's not particularly the most fun you'll ever have, but you are literally doing this in order to kickstart the healing process in your body. So let's talk about a few of the benefits you'll get from this fast because they are wildly good. We all the time think that, the only thing we can do to improve our health is go to the doctor's office, but you have to realize that your body is a self-healing, self-regulating mechanism. You just have to have the right tools to do it. So first thing that's going to happen is you're going to actually kickstart cellular autophagy and detoxification by doing this type of fast. And once you get yourself into the state of ketosis and your body is in that fasted state, you're going to get into deep autophagy, especially with a 7-day fast. And this is where I mentioned at the beginning where you have doctors like Dr. Thomas Seyfried, who basically says, look, if you do a couple of these 7-day water fasts a year, you're going to eradicate these cancer cells in your body, which ultimately could turn into so many of the cancers that people face today. So this is going to be really important. So you kickstart this autophagy, and what happens is your body starts breaking down the bad cells, the cancerous cells, the unhealthy cells, and it recycles them and regenerates them into new ones, which is awesome, right? And then, of course, the detoxification process as well, where your body starts getting some of these toxins out of your system, which is so good for disease prevention. You're also going to see a lot of weight loss and fat burning, specifically fat burning, because what happens is during the fast, your body actually preserves lean muscle mass, but focuses on eating the fat for energy, because when you're in the state of ketosis, your body turns to the fat for energy. Right now, you're probably burning sugar for energy, but in ketosis, your body is using the fat on your body in order to survive, especially during the fasted state. So you get into this deep state of ketosis and you're just burning the fat on your body like crazy, which is awesome. It's going to help improve insulin sensitivity. This is important for pretty much of just wiping out the chance of you having all of these different metabolic diseases that many people face today. So for instance, high blood pressure, fatty liver, high blood sugar, cholesterol issues. If you start fasting and you're improving your insulin sensitivity and your metabolic health is really solid, then you don't have to worry about those issues. It also is going to support improving brain health, mental clarity, focus. Typically, when you're doing a fast, your brain feels so good because you have this increase in what's called BDNF. It's brain-derived neurotrophic factor. During this time, it's very healing for your brain. Your brain health is improved in so many ways during this time. I've actually performed fast and gotten out of the fast and just noticed that like my mood was so much more positive. My energy was so much better. My mental clarity was so much better. It literally like transformed my brain. So this is a huge benefit of fasting. You're going to feel that you have much less achy joints and much less pain. This is because the inflammation will be dramatically reduced. If you're somebody who's dealing with an autoimmune condition, what you'll find is that your immune system starts to balance out during this time. And one of the big reasons is because it improves your gut health and your digestion so much. Whenever you're fasting, what happens is you have this huge reduction of inflammation in your gut, but also this healing occurs and a huge balancing of the microbiome occurs too. You know, if you're following a bad quality diet, what happens is you get a lot of pathogenic bacteria and things in your gut that you don't want there. And then it can cause immune system imbalances and so many other problems. It's one of the reasons I actually do it quite frequently, is mostly just to improve my digestive health. And then all the other benefits that come with it, well, that's great. But for me, digestion is always a key place to improve upon, along with my immune system. It's going to help boost your immune system so that, you know, if you're somebody who's getting sick all the time, fasting will really help improve upon your body's ability to fight viruses and bacteria. It has tons of longevity benefits, which we talked about, like the anti-cancer, but the anti-aging benefits of fasting are also incredible. You're also going to see a huge boost in growth hormone, which is very important. As you age, growth hormone declines over time. So boosting up your growth hormone is really, really powerful. So we have so many benefits that I've talked about and so many more that I didn't talk about. The point that I want to really get across to you is that whenever you're fasting, it's tremendously healing towards your body. This is like a built-in healing mechanism that your body has, and you're activating it when you're fasting, which is very cool. So let's get back to the prep again, okay? So the other thing you want to make sure that you're focusing on is staying very well hydrated during this time. So you want to actually start increasing your water intake leading up to the fast. And I recommend increasing your electrolyte intake too, whether you're using like a standard like pink salt or a Himalayan salt. One of the things that you want to do is increase those electrolytes. You can even use the electrolyte powders. I do all the time. So increase these electrolytes so that your body is prepped for that time when you're fasting. And you're going to, of course, keep these electrolytes going throughout the entire fast, but just leading up to it, start prepping, because as you start cutting the sugar and the carbs, your body's going to need more electrolytes. So stay well hydrated and avoid that. We want to avoid all the processed food, which I kind of mentioned already through making sure that you're focusing on whole foods. But one of the things that I didn't mention yet is start reducing your caffeine intake. This is so important. And the reason for this is because the withdrawal symptoms from caffeine are terrible when you're fasting. You're guaranteed to have massive fatigue and potentially massive headaches. And if you're like me, that leads to a migraine, which is debilitating, especially when you're fasting, because it's hard to get out of them while in the fasted state. So reduce caffeine intake so the time that your fast comes along, you're able to go caffeine free. Now, the next thing I would look at doing is start shortening your eating window. So if you're someone who's not fasting regularly, start implementing 16-8 intermittent fasting in order to prep your body to get used to not eating at all, right? So you're going to start just increasing those fasting hours. So 16-8, maybe pull off a 24-hour at some point during that week. Like start nudging your body in the direction of understanding, hey, you know, fasting is around the horizon for us. And so we need to be able to adapt to this, okay? So that is what you're going to do to prepare for your fast. Now let's talk about the fasting period, okay? And the big question is, well, what do I consume? And of course, no food, right? You're not going to be drinking food. You're not going to be drinking juice. You're not going to be doing heavy exercise. I'm all for light exercise, going out in nature, walking, that kind of healing exercise, but not going to the gym and just like cranking out those hard workouts that maybe you're doing right now. So we want to focus on consuming lots of water. Okay. Make sure that you're staying hydrated. It's very common that when you are not eating, you're also not drinking enough water. So cognitively, be aware of how much water you're drinking. And you don't need to like be drowning yourself by any means, but definitely make sure that you're drinking plenty and you're feeling well hydrated. You don't want to feel like your mouth is all dry and in fatigue and everything. Drink plenty of water, lots of electrolytes. Now, as far as like what else you can have, herbal teas are typically fine during this time. I tend to stay caffeine free during this whole fasting period because I don't want the caffeine interfering with my fast. Some people do black coffee, that sort of thing. Personally, I do not. So herbal teas are okay, water, and then electrolytes. That's your go-to during this time whenever you're feeling some fatigue, whenever you're feeling some hunger, more electrolytes, more water. Which brings us up to the topic of if you're getting some side effects, here's how you can handle it. If you're getting hunger pains, typically this is only going to happen on day 1 through 3. Basically, more water and then distract yourself. Some of the hunger is a little bit just more of a mind game more than it is anything else. Your body naturally knows like, hey, survival mechanism is to tell you that I'm hungry. So therefore we don't starve. Because we're fasting, we're still going to get some of those basic survival mechanisms, even though we're trying to fast. So understand that that can happen, but usually just staying busy helps with that. If you get headaches and dizziness and fatigue, just remember that it's important to have adequate electrolytes. I've said it many times. I'm going to say it again. If you're getting weakness, more electrolytes, probably a little bit more salt. If you're not sleeping well at night, like some sleep disturbances, I am okay with doing a little bit more magnesium at night in order to help with sleep, because this can be really helpful during this time. Now let's talk about breaking the fast, because this refeeding stage after your fast is very important. So day 1 of breaking your fast, I typically like to do bone broth. And the thing that you want to do is make sure that you're giving yourself lots of good nourishing food, just like we talked about when you're prepping for your fast. After your fast, make sure you're giving yourself lots of good nourishing foods and things that's easy for your body to digest. Remember that your gut hasn't been digesting in a long time. It's been going through this healing process as you've been fasting for so long. So a meal that is very small to begin with, but also easy to digest. So I like bone broth. I'll typically even make bone broth soup with vegetables in it and along with some proteins as well. So bone broth soup, you want to make sure that you're eating slowly and you're eating in small portions, okay? It's very common for individuals to come off of a fast and want to crush some carbs and a ton of protein. It's not going to feel good on your digestion. So don't do things that are going to upset your digestion during this time. And typically you want to take, after a 7-day fast, you want to take basically a full week to kind of get yourself back into normal eating. So initially, very, very soft, easy to digest foods. You also want to do a lot of foods that are going to help feed your microbiome, probiotic rich foods such as like sauerkraut or kimchi. So do things along those lines. If you can tolerate dairy, a lot of different dairies have good probiotics in it as well, like kefir, cheese, and yogurts, that sort of thing. Now, after your first couple meals, you can start implementing more foods into your diet. Once again, I still recommend making sure that you're eating very clean during this time. And the fast itself really gave you an opportunity for a new standard of living, a better and higher quality standard of living that's going to help you have more energy, more focus, and prevent disease. So I would really recommend sticking to that higher standard of living. However, if you are not going to, I would certainly not go back to some sort of like traditional diet, at least for a week. Okay. Not that I recommend you go back to that at all, but I'm saying like from a real health perspective, do not just jump back into a low quality diet after you got off of a 7-day fast. Spend the first couple meals eating good, easy to digest foods, probiotic rich foods. You're also then going to start increasing the amount of food that you allow in your diet from there, good, healthy fats, proteins, whole nutrient dense foods. And then not until about 7 days could you go back to your typical standard normal diet. So that really wraps up how you are going to go into a 7-day water fast, with a huge focus on how to prepare for that so that you can complete it properly, the benefits you're going to get from it. And then, of course, from there, if you want to learn more and even a more detailed breakdown, in which I gave you here today, you're going to like this video right here.